Maintaining fitness becomes challenging as you reach retirement age. That's why, at 65, I make it a point to jog several miles daily, weather permitting. Earlier today, I spotted Wilton Jones, my closest friend and next door neighbor, driving by in his old beat up truck. He flashed me a grin that seemed oddly smug, leaving me uneasy despite our close relationship. That peculiar expression stuck with me and marked the beginning of a major shift in my life. As I reached my property, I saw my wife, Maddie, heading into the house from the garage, a repurposed barn where we keep our cars. It struck me as unusual that she'd head to the garage first thing in the morning. Inside the house, Maddie was coming down the stairs and greeted me with a kiss. "Are you just coming down from bed?" I asked. "Yeah," she said sheepishly, and suggested she might have stayed up too late the night before. She promised to have breakfast ready by the time I returned from my shower. Maddie, who isn't conventionally beautiful and has aged with crow's feet at 63, still has a warmth and charm that I deeply cherish. Despite the signs of aging, I love her more than ever, finding comfort in her presence and expressions. Her good heart and positive nature have made me glad to have married her after 40 years. Despite a recent lie from her, I went upstairs and was stopped in my tracks by a captivating sight. My nearly 40-year-old daughter-in-law, with wet blonde hair and a robe, looked stunning. Her innocent smile, despite her age, evoked strong feelings in me. She had used my shower because my son was using hers. As she smiled at me, my energetic grandson Dylan dashed by, heading downstairs for breakfast. In the shower, Maddie's lie weighed on my mind. After dressing, I joined the family in the kitchen where Maddie had made breakfast. Matt and Kate were already at the table, with Matt focused on his food as usual. Kate teased him about showing more affection, which made everyone laugh. Dylan, eager about our planned fishing trip, asked when we were going. After breakfast, Maddie fussed over me with sunscreen and a kiss, showing her usual concern. Dylan and I then headed out, and he admired my Mustang SVT Cobra, hinting at what would happen to it after I was gone. I dodged the question, knowing he wasn't ready for it. We spent the day fishing, returning home tired but happy. After dinner, we walked around the property while Matt shared childhood memories. Dylan remained curious about the car, so I promised him a ride the next day, which thrilled him. Later, as the family relaxed, Maddie pulled me upstairs, insisting I needed rest. In bed, despite everything, we quickly reconnected intimately, and the world outside our room seemed to disappear. "Is this what you want?" she asked playfully. "Or do you want me to go down and get Kate?" I'm gonna have to think about that one," I said just as mischievously. Um, Buddy, she said, thrusting her hips forward and impaling herself on me. "Kate has one of these attached to your son to play with. This one is mine, all mine." "Ken, I'm sorry," she said. "And I know it was stupid, but it's something I can't help. You know that we're too old to make another baby. Well, I am anyway. But when you do that to me, something primal happens and my womb wants to be filled." I nodded, but my mind was racing. "Sometimes I wish we could have another baby," she said. "You feel so perfect in there." "Wait, are you saying that if we were younger, we couldn't have another child?" "Maddie, we've already been through the parenting stage," I fibbed. "We're nearing the end of the grandparent stage. What I want now is to retire and explore the world with you by my side. Once we're done traveling, we can relax in our rocking chairs and embrace the great-grandparent stage." "I'm not sure I want to travel the world with a man who won't at least pretend he wants to have another child," she pouted. "All right, I'll take Kate," I said, turning onto my side to go to sleep. "I already told you this was my choice," she said. "Don't make me go after my daughter-in-law. She's like the daughter I never had. But I'd go after her like a lioness for you, Ken." As we lay together, Maddie slept soundly while my mind raced. Despite our age and her inability to have children, she remained passionate in bed. I questioned her claim that I was the best, considering she had married innocent. I eventually fell asleep peacefully and woke up early, debating whether to skip my run. I decided to go, but lacked enthusiasm. The cool morning air felt right, but the run was tough, and I turned back after just half a mile, frustrated. As I neared home, I noticed Will's truck parked on my property, and my garage door slightly ajar. Staring into the dim light, I realized it was all too clear. There was a hoe plying her trade in my garage. The witch was frightfully close to my car as she did it. It was clear that they were all there willingly, marking a turning point in my life. I had always prided myself on being even-tempered and reasonable, someone who thought things through before acting. However, if pushed too far, I could unleash a fierce side. Next to the door, I found a 2x4 I used to prop the barn door open. I picked it up, knowing I needed it to protect my car from the wind. In a fit of anger, I threw a rock at Will's truck, shattering the windshield. The scene in my garage changed instantly as three people scrambled to get dressed. I recognized Will's voice as he wondered if I was the one outside. He quickly mentioned leaving while Maddie complained about not finishing. Will, now almost fully dressed, was heading toward the door. I remembered the smirk he had given me earlier, and my anger flared as I realized how long he had been mocking me. Will burst through the door as I stepped out, and I swung the 2x4 with all my strength. I felt several of his ribs crack, and he screamed loudly enough to wake the dead. He stumbled back into the garage, and I kicked him several times. He was moaning again, but this time it was from pain. Maddie threw herself in between us just as I was about to land another blow. "Ken, don't!" she cried. "You'll end him!" She reached up to stop my arm, and the moment she touched me, it felt like I had come into contact with something toxic. I shoved her away. She fell back into the hay pile she had just been with. "Don't you ever touch me again," I sneered. "Where's the other one, you witch?" "Ken, there's no one else," she said. "I'm so sorry. You have to let me explain." "Dylan, get your A out here, or I swear I'll lock you in and set the garage on fire," I shouted. Without waiting for a response, I turned to the door and grabbed the gas can I used for the lawnmower. "Ken, what are you doing?" Maddie shouted. Behind me, Will staggered to his feet. He was shaky but knew I was serious, so he made a quick exit. I started pouring gasoline around the garage floor as Maddie watched in horror. "Ken, honey, we can talk about this," she pleaded. "It's my fault." I lit a match and raised it up. Just as I was about to drop it, Dylan emerged from his hiding spot. I could hear Will's truck revving up and pulling away behind us. "I'm really sorry, Grandpa," Dylan said. I shot him a furious look, my anger so intense that I struggled not to swing the 2x4 I was still gripping. "I'm not your grandfather anymore," I replied. "I want you out of my house today." "But we're supposed to stay for 2 weeks, he protested. "I promise I won't do it again. I'm really sorry." "I don't care what happens with this tramp," I snapped. "I just don't want it happening in my home. I'll go wake your parents and explain why you need to get the hell out of my sight." "No, please don't," he pleaded. "Ken, you can't do that," Maddie interjected, trying to block my path to the door. "I got into some trouble at school," Dylan explained. "That's part of why Mom and Dad sent me here. We were all going to stay for a couple of weeks, and then they'd go back to Chicago and see if I could stay for the rest of the summer." "Ken, why break the whole family apart over this?" Maddie urged. "We can figure this out, I promise." I looked away from the frightened boy who shared my blood and faced the woman I thought I would spend my life with. "Why on earth would I want to resolve anything with you?" I snapped, filled with anger. "Because we love each other," she replied, as if it were completely obvious. She reached out her hand, trying to offer comfort as she had done countless times over the last 40 years, and I instinctively reached back for her. But then my anger overwhelmed that sense of familiarity, and I reacted. "If you touch me, I swear I'll hurt you more than you've ever been hurt," I warned, my calm voice making it clear just how serious I was. "But Ken," she said, her voice trembling as if I had actually hit her. You you don't mean that." I turned and walked into the house, leaving her there.
Maddie. As I watched Ken walk away toward the house, it felt like a massive lump had formed in my throat that I couldn't swallow. This couldn't be real. Ken couldn't have meant what he said, but then again, he hadn't really said much, had he? He called me a witch and a hoe, but that was just his anger speaking. He told our grandson to leave. He couldn't have really meant that. For the first time in 40 years, I had no idea what Ken was thinking or what he might do next. His outburst at his best friend showed me he was angrier than I had ever seen him. I needed to go after him and calm him down before he did something that could tear our family apart. "Grandma, you have to do something," Dylan complained from behind me. "Dad said this summer is my last chance. I can't afford to get into trouble again, especially not this soon." "You should have thought about that earlier," I replied as I walked away, following Ken. As always, he was focused on the practical and immediate. Despite his anger, he still needed a shower. That's where I found him. I opened the door and looked at him like I had so many times before. His body was surprisingly toned and muscular for his age. His workouts and runs kept him in shape, and I enjoyed looking at him. Suddenly, I realized what I had put at risk. I pushed that thought away. "What do you want for breakfast, honey?" I asked, as I usually did. "Get away from me, ho!" he snapped, not caring who heard. He pulled the shower door shut. You don't need to shout, I said calmly. And there's no need to close the door. I've seen you without clothes for the past 40 years. There's nothing you have that I haven't seen 1,000 times. You won't be seeing it anymore, he retorted. Then, seemingly with great effort, he calmed down, grabbed a towel, and wrapped it around himself. He opened the door and stepped out. What do you want, Madeline? He asked, his tone much calmer than his eyes suggested. I think we need to talk about, well, I said. But maybe we should wait a bit. You need time to calm down, and I need time to explain things to you. We really don't want to spoil the kids' visit. We only see them once or twice a year, so perhaps we should wait until they're gone, okay? I don't want to talk to you, he said. I don't want to calm down. I don't care about anything you have to say. Pretending to be civil around the kids or lying to them is just another form of deceit. Maybe you've been lying and hiding things for so long that you've lost touch with the truth. But eventually the kids will find out about this. Sooner or later, everyone will know. What are you talking about? I asked. The kids will want to know why we're separating, he replied. Suddenly, my heart started racing and I felt faint. I stumbled but managed to steady myself by grabbing the wall. Ken didn't even hesitate. For the first time in over 40 years, I sensed he didn't care about my health or well-being. I'm pretty sure Chelsea is wondering what happened to Will. I hurt him pretty badly. If he decides to press charges, I might end up in jail. Honestly, I hope he does. I'll tell anyone who asks what happened and why I confronted him. I bet Chelsea will kick him out. That place has been in her family for generations. He won't have a leg to stand on and will be out by nightfall. Ken, you'll destroy their marriage, I said. They have kids to think about. Will also has a business to consider. In a small town like this, he could lose at least half his customers. He's been your best friend since middle school. Why do you want to ruin his life? He ruined mine first, he shot back. While you're so busy worrying about everyone else's kids, families, jobs, and feelings, did you ever think about mine? What about my feelings? What about our son and his family? Ken, I'm sorry if I hurt you, I said. That was never my intention. I love you more than... If you ever say that again, I'll knock your teeth out, he snapped. His expression was completely serious. Ken had gone from calm to furious in an instant. His anger and hatred were palpable. At that moment, I realized just how deeply I had hurt him, and I recognized my mistake. For most of my life, I had taken Ken's love and the certainty that we would always be together for granted. I never considered the possibility that I might lose that love, or that he could doubt for even a moment how much I loved him. Things were deteriorating rapidly. I needed to do something to calm him down before his pain led him to hurt others. What I needed to do was create a sense of normalcy to give him time to process his anger. I left the bathroom and headed downstairs to start breakfast. It was nearly 7, and Matt and Kate would be getting up soon. I wanted to shield them from everything that had happened. As I made my way downstairs, I ran into Kate. "Hi, Mom," she said. Looking at her, I could see why my husband had a crush on her. My daughter-in-law is beautiful, but her beauty isn't so much outward. Kate is one of the sweetest people I've ever met. Matt must have done something extremely great in one of his previous lives to end up with a woman like her. She mentioned a strange dream about Dylan facing a bear, which left me momentarily stunned. She had checked on him, finding him in the kitchen where he was busy eating. Just as we were chatting, Ken came down and hugged Kate, expressing his love for her and asking her to tell Matt the same. However, he didn't acknowledge me, which raised my concern further, especially since he wasn't dressed for work. Moments later, I heard the roar of Ken's Mustang, its aggressive sound reflecting his mood. I wondered if his anger was making him drive more recklessly or if the car truly mirrored his emotions. If it was the latter, Ken was angrier than I had ever seen him. I had mixed feelings. On one hand, it was flattering to think that my husband loved me so fiercely that he could become enraged at the thought of me with someone else. On the other hand, I worried about the damage this situation could cause our family, depending on how I managed Ken's anger. My previous attempts at reasoning with him had failed, so I knew I needed a different approach. Breakfast was quiet. I told Matt and Kate that Ken was at a last-minute meeting with a disgruntled supplier, and they seemed to accept it, especially Kate. Dylan, however, was unusually silent, pushing his food around his plate. Eventually, he asked to be excused and retreated to his room. Kate reassured Dylan that he would have plenty of time with his grandpa, noting their special bond. She expressed her wish that Dylan's relationship with Ken was as strong as her connection with her late father. Despite Kate's sunny demeanor, her words stung, reminding me of the damage my actions had caused to our family. After breakfast, Matt took Dylan fishing, with Kate tagging along, iPad in hand. To my surprise, they returned just a couple of hours later, a stark contrast to the previous day when Ken and Dylan were gone all day. I asked what had happened, and Ken mentioned that Dylan didn't feel like fishing. This set a somber tone for the rest of the day. When dinner time arrived without a word from Ken, I grew anxious, unsure of how to explain his absence to the kids. I called him, and the phone rang endlessly before he finally answered. "What?" he asked. His tone made it clear I was the last person he wanted to speak to, and that stung. "When are you coming home?" I inquired. "Who said I'm coming home?" he shot back. My heart sank. "Ken, do we really have to ruin Matt's vacation?" I pleaded. "Can't we just wait to deal with this until he's gone?" "You're the one who started all of this," he replied. "Did you think about that while you were sneaking guys into my garage and sleeping with them?" "Ken, we need to talk," I said. "Can you please just come home?" "Why would I want to come home? Besides, I'm working on giving you what you asked for," he said. "I'll probably be here for another hour. Is your grandson still around?" "Yes, but Ken, you need to give me some time to get him out of here. I began. "I don't have to give you anything," he interrupted. "For 40 years, I've given you everything you wanted. I gave you my heart, my body, my mind, and all my love. And look where that got me." The most unsettling part of the conversation was Ken's calm demeanor. Rather than expressing anger, he spoke casually, as if he had thoroughly analyzed the situation. After dinner, Ken returned home to a warm welcome from Matt and Kate. Dylan had already retreated to his room, likely feeling unwell due to the ongoing tension. Ken spent a couple of hours talking with Matt and Kate, reminiscing about the past. Kate pointed out a picture of Ken in a hospital gown with Matt on his knee, which sparked fond memories for them, though Matt couldn't recall the details. I remembered well the circumstances surrounding that photo. Ken had been a hero, donating his bone marrow to his brother Ben, who suffered from a congenital defect that ran in their family. The transplant had extended Ben's life, but ultimately the disease returned. Watching Ken interact with Matt and Kate reassured me. I knew he would eventually forgive Dylan and me. It was simply part of who he was. After a while, Matt and Kate went to their room, and Ken entered ours. He barely acknowledged me as he gathered his things, indicating he planned to sleep elsewhere. I felt it was time to address the situation directly, using an authoritative tone reminiscent of my days as a schoolteacher. Ken just stared at me. "Ken, we've been married for over 40 years, I said. "We've faced good times and bad, but we've always managed to work through our issues. This situation won't be any different. You left this morning without giving us a chance to discuss what happened. I believe I deserve at least that much. You're supposed to be the man I'll spend the rest of my life with. We're married, for goodness sake. I think I deserve more than this. And I think I deserve more than being married to the town hoe," he shot back. At least he kept his voice lower this time. "How long have you been sleeping with my friends? How many of them are there?" "Ken, you have to give me a chance to explain," I urged. "It really isn't what you think." He sat down on the edge of the bed, distancing himself as much as possible. "I'm not contagious," I said. "You can't catch anything from me. Just yesterday, you loved being close to me." His reluctance to touch me or be near me hurt deeply. "Yesterday, I didn't know I was married to a hoe," he spat. "Yesterday, I didn't know my best friend was betraying me. Just wait until I talk to Chelsea." "I thought you were going to let me explain," I said calmly. He simply leaned back on the bed, moving even further away from me. "Go ahead, I don't have all night," he replied. "Ken, you were the first, and until all of this started, the only person I slept with. When we first became intimate, it was scary, and I've never told you this, but it kind of hurt. I only went along with it because you enjoyed it so much, and I loved you, so I put up with it. Over time, it became pleasurable for me too. There were moments when my desire fluctuated, but I always cherished the feelings of being close to you. Things changed for me in my late 40s and early 50s. I started to dislike closeness, but Ken was patient and never pushed or complained. As my feelings began to shift back, predictability crept in. I could anticipate every move he made, and it became routine and boring. Despite enjoying our intimate moments, I found myself wanting more. I loved Ken deeply and didn't want to hurt him, but frustration grew. I discovered that Will was experiencing the opposite with Chelsea, who had lost all interest in closeness. This realization led to complications in my life. I want to clarify that Will is not better than Ken. He's simply different. There are no feelings for him. Our encounters lack the intimacy that Ken and I share. Then Dylan caught us together and threatened to tell Ken unless I gave him something in return. Dylan, being younger and wilder, introduced me to new experiences. But none of this was more important than my marriage. I was going through a phase and believed that since I had accommodated Ken's needs before, he could now understand mine. Ken seemed to consider my points, but questioned why I hadn't communicated my needs for more intimacy earlier. He processed it on his own and decided that we wouldn't be intimate again, stating he would release me from our vows. My anger rose as I argued that I didn't intend to stop our relationship. He handed me papers. As I put on my glasses to read, Ken began packing his things. He pointed out that while I sought fulfillment elsewhere, he had remained faithful. He was hurt that I hadn't given him a chance this time and accused me of wanting freedom outside the marriage. Ken accused me of wanting freedom outside the marriage, saying he wouldn't stop me anymore. I tried to explain that I only wanted him and that it was never about finding someone else. It was just about act. He told me he had filed for divorce, offering a 50-50th split and allowing me to stay in the house as long as no other men were brought there. He made it clear that the house would go to our children, excluding Dylan. As Ken drove away, I was left hoping he might return. I went through the pain of watching the man I loved walk out of my life, taking only the essentials. The next morning, I lied to the kids, saying Ken had left for work. They sensed something was wrong, and the days that followed were filled with tension as I struggled to maintain the appearance of normalcy. Dylan struggled with the loss of his close relationship with Ken and soon expressed a desire to go home. A few days later, Chelsea arrived in tears, revealing that Will had been in a serious car accident, crashing into a tree. His injuries, combined with a heart condition, had caused his heart to stop temporarily, leaving him in a coma. Chelsea returned to the hospital, while I was left feeling guilty for my part in the situation and the lies I told about Ken. Only Paul, Ken's lawyer, knew the truth, but was bound by confidentiality. Meanwhile, Matt and Kate took Dylan back to Chicago, promising to return for Christmas. I spent my days supporting Chelsea at the hospital. Over the months, as Will's condition worsened, Chelsea and I grew closer, though I couldn't shake the guilt. Doctors informed me that Will's heart condition was long-standing and likely would have caused a heart attack regardless of Ken's involvement. This brought some relief, knowing Ken wouldn't have to bear that guilt when he returned. By Christmas, I finally told the kids that Ken had left, offering vague explanations. They surprisingly accepted it. Matt was upset with Ken, while Kate believed he had his reasons, leading to tension between them. One night, alone with Dylan, he inappropriately touched me, and I reacted by punching him, causing him to vomit. I confronted him about the chaos he'd caused, reminding him that Ken had cut him out of the will and vowed never to cheat again. A year after Ken left, Matt and Kate divorced. They occasionally reached out, asking me to let Dylan visit, but I always found excuses. Dylan's life spiraled. He flunked out of college, struggled to keep jobs, and constantly got into trouble. Will eventually passed away, and Chelsea found love again with a paraplegic man she met at the hospital. They seemed genuinely happy together. I tried dating after Ken left, but nothing worked. Deep down, I only wanted him. Eventually, it became clear that no one else wanted me either. I posted ads on dating sites but got no responses. The few times I had closeness, it was with men who were as unsatisfying as the encounters themselves. This led me to reflect on my life, feeling like a lonely woman who had ruined her own happiness. My desire for closeness faded after Ken left, and those experiences were more about curiosity than actual want. I realized even my time with Will only mattered because of Ken. Living without him was unbearable. 3 years later, after his departure, I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. I appeared older and more defeated. Then I received a call from Matt, whom I hadn't heard from in months. He sounded emotional, asking me to call him or Kate. Before I could respond, Kate arrived at my door, her once beautiful face now showing pain from the divorce. She hugged me tightly, and her concern made me regret trying to joke about my age. Kate revealed that Dylan was in trouble. Her tone conveyed a mother's desperation. I hadn't seen Dylan since I hit him years ago, and my feelings toward him were complicated. Over the years, I understood that I had been dealing with a hormone imbalance, which I had tried to treat on my own. Losing Ken was mostly my fault, but I also blamed Will and Dylan. Blaming Will, now gone, accomplished nothing. Dylan had betrayed me by blackmailing me and betraying his grandfather. Even after seeing how hurt Ken was, Dylan had the nerve to make another move on me. I'll never forget the satisfaction of knocking him down and the stupid look on his face. "Mom, Dylan has it," Kate whined. "Dylan has what?" I asked, certain that whatever it wasn't a job. The boy had been guilt-tripping both parents over the divorce to squeeze money from them. What they seemed to overlook was that Dylan was over 21 when they split. He was an adult. "My baby has that cancer that runs in the family," she cried. My heart sank. "Mom, what am I going to do?" she sobbed. "We'll get him the best doctors available," I assured her, reaching out to hug her. In that moment, I wished I could take away some of her pain. However, my compassion only extended to Kate. Dylan was still a snake in my eyes. "Mom, can you contact Dad for us?" she asked. "Matt told me Dad saved his brother by giving him bone marrow. He has some kind of antibodies in his bone marrow that helped keep it dormant for a while." I just stared at her blankly. "Can't they use Matt's bone marrow? One of Ben's kids could help too," I suggested. "Matt was already tested," she explained. "He's a close match, but he doesn't have the antibodies. I'm a double negative, so I lack both the DNA and the antibodies. And Ben's kids are both girls. Apparently, this only affects males." By the time she finished telling me about Dylan's condition and what they had done so far, Matt had arrived. I had to admit it. My son looked terrible. At 46, he resembled his father almost exactly, which was alarming since he was 22 years younger than Ken. Ken looks good for a man in his late 60s, but Matt just looked worn out. He saw Kate and went to her, embracing her as he reassured her that everything would be okay.
Ken. Every morning felt fresh, and I couldn't help but smile, knowing I had moved beyond my past mistakes. Miranda, even in her sleep, kept her leg draped over me, showing her reluctance to let go. She woke up, mentioning she'd join me for my run, and as she stretched, her beauty captivated me. I called her by the special nickname Miranda, a term only I used. Then, she opened up about her past insecurities, sharing how others had only valued her for physical pleasure, not for who she was, but I made her feel truly loved. She shared that I was the first man she had pursued, her first serious relationship. This revelation deepened my understanding of her attachment and fear of losing me. Despite our age difference, me nearing 70 and her in her 40s, our bond was stronger than I could have imagined. Though I couldn't fully grasp how it all came together, her shrug said it didn't matter. Our connection was real, and that's all that mattered. In a quiet moment, Miranda expressed her desire for me to be her last, prompting me to ask if she would consider marriage as I got out of bed. She remained silent for a while, hiding under the blankets. I pulled them off, catching her off guard. She seemed surprised by my seriousness, but hesitated to respond. Miranda playfully chastised me for my language, and as I tried to ask something important, she interrupted, excited, but conflicted. She revealed she had been keeping something from me for days, unsure how I'd react due to our age difference. Finally, she blurted out that we were going to have a baby. Shocked, I blurted out something thoughtless, which hurt the trust we had built over the years. Miranda ran to the bathroom, crying and locking the door. I felt terrible and tried to coax her out, even attempting to break down the door, but I ended up falling awkwardly. Eventually, she came out, tearful, and reassured me that the baby was mine. She asked if I truly wanted to marry her, and I reminded her that I had asked before the baby news. She insisted I propose properly and not out of obligation. The next morning, we skipped my run and went out for breakfast. Miranda excitedly told everyone about our engagement, and surprisingly, no one was shocked. Most thought we were already married. Sharing the pregnancy news raised a few eyebrows, though. After breakfast, we went to a jewelry shop where Miranda chose her ring. She had planned everything for the proposal that evening, even booking us haircuts and deciding what I should wear. Miranda insisted I practice my proposal, wanting it to be perfect and spontaneous. She humorously mentioned having Al, Samantha Green's husband, videotape the moment. I joked about not wanting to mess it up, but she playfully threatened to say no if I did. Despite my past feelings of loss, I welcomed the changes ahead. I felt grateful for Miranda, never expecting to find happiness again, especially not so soon after leaving Michigan. I had doubted our age difference would lead to anything serious, but here we were, planning a future together. Just as we parked my Mustang and entered the house, I realized I had left the tiny bag containing Miranda's ring in the glove box. Miranda, eager to show off her future ring, practiced how she would display it to catch the light. She sent me back outside to get the ring. That was when everything went wrong, and my life felt like it was falling apart. Ken? Someone called from behind me. The voice was familiar and filled with emotion. Suddenly, I found myself being hugged. I looked into the eyes of my ex-wife, with my son right next to her. What the hell are you doing here, Madeline? I asked, taken aback. We hired a private investigator to find you, she explained. It's time for you to come home, honey. Your family needs you. Yeah, Dad, Matt chimed in. You're lucky Mom even wants you back after you walked out on her. I just stared at him. Matthew, you really need to get your facts straight before saying something foolish, I replied. It only makes you look like an idiot. Ken, you have to come back, Maddie urged, trying to change the subject. Our grandson needs you. He has the same cancer your brother had. What does that have to do with me? I retorted. Get off my property before I call the police. I turned to go back inside, leaving them standing there. But he'll die, Maddie said. Thousands of people die every day, I said, and they all manage to live or die without me.
Maddie, as Matt and I walked away, we were both in disbelief. Neither of us had anticipated anything like what had just happened. Of course, I had my own hopes for how things would go, but it was clear that even after 4 years, Ken's anger hadn't faded. To me, that was a positive sign. If he was still that angry, it meant he still had strong feelings for me. Maybe I could leverage that to get him to help Matt. Mom, what's wrong with that jerk? Matt shouted. I always thought there was something off about him just leaving you, but now I think he might be losing it. Maybe he has dementia? Suddenly, a strange expression crossed Matt's face. As we drove through the unfamiliar town, his smile grew wider, resembling a Cheshire cat's by the time we returned to the motel. Kate remained in the same chair as before, still trying to contact the retired cancer specialist who had treated Ken's brother, Ben. Despite the challenges, her dedication was impressive, as she tirelessly made hundreds of calls to reach that doctor and other notable cancer specialists and clinics. As soon as she spotted us, she set the phone down and greeted us with the same smile that had convinced countless doctors, nurses, and medical staff to comply with her wishes. When is Dad coming? She asked. Matt's smile quickly disappeared. That's why we got divorced, he snapped. No, it isn't, she replied. Anyway, when is he coming over? Or is he just going to hop on a plane and meet us back in Michigan? He got pretty angry when he saw us, Matt said. He's not coming. We'll have to figure something else out. But I have an idea. I'm listening, Kate said. I think he's losing it, Matt declared. I'm going to call the police and have him arrested for mental incompetence. Then we can commit him. As his family will be able to make all his medical decisions, so he'll have to donate bone marrow whether he likes it or not. You two can share a room in the loony bin, Kate retorted. We're not doing anything like that to Dad. The police will investigate his mental state, and when they find out he's fine, they'll release him. You'll be charged with filing a false report, and Dad will be even angrier with us. What did you do to make him mad? You see what I mean? Matt said. Do you remember what she said when he first left you, Mom? She was convinced he had his reasons. She acted like it was your fault. I stayed silent. Kate pressed on. What did you do, Matt? Were you hostile? Did you ask him nicely, or did you go over there yelling and screaming like you always do? Actually, it was Mom who did all the talking, Matt replied. He looked really angry to see her. I was just defending Mom. So let's think this through logically, Kate said. If Dad did something wrong, he'd be happy to have Mom come and forgive him. He'd be doing everything he could to get back. I had to step in before my daughter-in-law made things worse. That's how we should approach this, I said. We have the solution right here. What? Matt and Kate asked in unison. We just send Kate, I suggested. First, she has a way of charming anyone. And secondly, your dad has always cared for her. He used to say she was the best and smartest choice you ever made. My own father had feelings for my wife? Matt shouted. Of course not, Matt. Don't be ridiculous. Your dad loved her like a daughter. He thought she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Everyone has a secret crush, usually on a movie star or singer. In your dad's case, it was Kate, but he never acted on it or said anything. He loved me more than anything else. So maybe Kate can succeed where we failed. He could never refuse her. Okay, give me the keys. I'll go see Dad, Kate said. Not by yourself, Matt retorted. Now that we know the two of you have feelings for each other, you're not going anywhere near him without me. The last thing I need is my wife with my dad. We're not married anymore, Kate said, snatching the keys. And there's nothing I won't do to save my baby.
Ken, I had just finished showering when the doorbell rang. Moments later, I heard Randa answer the door, her uneven footsteps indicating she was only wearing one shoe. When I entered the living room, I found Miranda glaring at my daughter-in-law, Kate. It struck me how much Randa resembled Kate, though they weren't identical. Kate was classier and taller, while Randa had a fuller figure. Both shared heart-shaped faces and beautiful eyes. Kate's blue like the sea, Randa's green like emeralds. In that tense moment, it was clear they were both upset, creating an atmosphere thick with tension. I braced myself for the impending clash, wanting to find shelter from the storm of emotions that was about to erupt. Miranda, you hoe, what are you doing in my father's house? Kate shouted. As I remember it, Miranda retorted, your father wasn't exactly a saint. He was an alcoholic and he doesn't live here. You've probably slept with so many men that you've mixed my father up with someone else, Kate spat. Oh no, I remember him very well, Miranda replied. I always remember those who were supposed to be family but treated me poorly. I especially remember the ones who looked down on me in public but tried to take advantage of me in private. He was my mother's brother. He shouldn't have tried to get me drunk and sleep with me. Kate gasped, shocked by the revelation. Why are you surprised, Katie? You were just as bad. You were my favorite cousin, and you abandoned me like everyone else. It hurt more coming from you. I looked up to you and wanted to be just like you. When you turned your back on me, Miranda, I went away to college, Kate interrupted. When I came back, you were known as the town hoe. According to everyone I talked to, including your parents, you had slept with almost every guy in town, many of them more than once. And you believed it, of course, Miranda said. She started to cry, and that was my cue. I walked into the room and wrapped her in my arms. I sat down on the sofa with her in my lap, gently rocking her. Kate, I think you should leave, I said. Seeing the hurt in her eyes made me feel guilty. Dad, what is she to you? Kate asked. She's everything, I replied passionately. We had a very special evening planned for tonight, and nothing is going to stop that. I already know what you want. I've told your husband and your mother-in-law that I can't help you. It was nice seeing you again, but you really need to go. Dad, Matt and I are no longer married, she said. I don't know what's happening between you and my cousin or why you won't help your own grandson. Something is really off here, so can you postpone your special night so we can talk? She flashed me her best smile. No, I said firmly. There's nothing in the world that would make me delay tonight. Fine, we'll talk in the morning, she replied. We'll settle all of this once and for all. There's nothing to settle, I said. Dad, please, she pleaded. I know I'm not your biological daughter, but I always wished I was. I've always felt like one, so can we just talk and get everything out in the open? He said no, Miranda interjected. You can't have him. If you don't leave us alone, I'll kick your skinny A. Miranda, this isn't your concern, Kate shot back. This is family business. Do you know what this is? Miranda asked, flashing her hand to show her ring, which caught the light. I am his family. He's mine. We're getting married and we're going to... She hesitated. We're going to stay together forever. I'll be here early tomorrow, Kate said. I'll come alone, so maybe I can figure out what's going on between my cousin and me. Then we can all get together to discuss everything else. I have a feeling things are going to get messy. We might all end up smelling bad when this is over. After Kate left, Miranda looked at me with tears in her eyes. accusing me of only loving her because she resembled Kate. I reassured her that my feelings were genuine and that nothing had changed. I loved her more than anything. Miranda smirked, saying she would invite her family to the wedding, to which I agreed, teasing that she should gather their addresses since she claimed not to have any family. Our evening unfolded as Miranda had envisioned. When I finally got down on one knee, every eye in the restaurant was on us. Before I could ask the question, she exclaimed, "Yes!" so loudly that even the cooks came out to see. We received a complimentary dessert, leaving me to wonder if Miranda had arranged it. Back home, she insisted on watching the proposal video multiple times, sharing it on social media. By the third viewing, I was exhausted and ready for bed, but Miranda had other plans. As we lay down, our kisses ignited a passionate encounter, and I lost myself in the intensity of our connection that night. We woke up and went for a run, with Miranda following me on her bike. Upon returning home, we found Kate waiting for us on the porch. After showering, the three of us made breakfast together and enjoyed it on the deck. As we finished eating, Miranda opened up about her past, revealing how she had always tried to emulate Kate in appearance and behavior. Growing up with a religious mother and an alcoholic father, Miranda had lived a sheltered life, never even experiencing a kiss by the age of 18. She contrasted this with Kate's seemingly perfect life, which included marriage and pregnancy at a young age, something Miranda envied deeply. Unable to attend college, Miranda began working as a waitress. After a long Super Bowl shift, she accepted a ride home from two classmates who gave her beer laced with something she didn't recognize. The next morning, she woke up on the side of the road, realizing she had been offended by six men. The town, however, turned against her when a video made it appear as though she had willingly participated. Her reputation was destroyed, leading to her ostracization from friends, family, and even losing her job. As her life spiraled, Miranda found herself in a series of toxic relationships. Seeking affection, she was often taken advantage of, and one particularly harmful relationship with a married man further damaged her reputation. Her loneliness led to heavy drinking, and she found herself stuck in a destructive cycle of alcohol and meaningless encounters. By her 30s, Miranda felt utterly devalued, with her only interactions being abusive and exploitative. Her male relatives, who should have protected her, instead treated her cruelly, and as she aged, she felt even more discarded. She recounted an incident where her cousin, Horace, physically assaulted her at a bar after she rejected him, causing her to lose her front teeth in a violent punch, while bystanders laughed. Her life in Ohio was marked by abuse and neglect until a pivotal moment on July 3rd, 2010. While waitressing at a bar, a group of men attempted to force her into something horrible. However, a sober older man intervened, managing to stop the situation from escalating further. This moment marked a turning point in Miranda's life, as someone finally stood up for her amidst a town that had treated her so poorly. I stood up to the four guys, determined to protect Miranda. One tried to shove me, but I grabbed a wooden chair and swung it hard, knocking one of them out cold. The others froze, unsure what to do next. Just then, three gunshots rang out, silencing the room. The cops had arrived, firing into the ceiling to stop the fight. Instead of helping, the cops turned on me, telling me to leave town. They said there was no place for someone like me, and they laughed when I told them those men had tried to gang ape Miranda. They dismissed it, saying you can't ape a hoe, and told me to get in my Mustang and leave before they changed their minds about not charging me. As I walked out, I heard them harassing Miranda, blaming her for everything. She stumbled out of the bar, too drunk to stand, and just as she started to fall, I caught her. I knew I had to get her out of there, away from the cruelty of the town. The next morning, Miranda woke up to the smell of breakfast. She felt better despite her hangover, and was surprised to see I had made her food. We were about 50 miles south of the town, staying in a motel near a Greyhound bus terminal. I offered her money for a bus ticket home, suggesting she could return when things calmed down. She noticed the kindness in my eyes, though there was also a sadness, as if I had lost something important. We ate in silence, and Miranda was taken aback by how I treated her like a person, not just an object. When she asked if we'd slept together, I explained that I had slept on the sofa, leaving her fully clothed, as I was worried about her safety in her drunken state. She was shocked that I hadn't taken advantage of her, something she wasn't used to. I told her I was heading somewhere new to start over. Without any better plans and a gut feeling that she was meant to come with me, Miranda asked if she could tag along. I agreed, and we stayed together, eventually finding a house in bad shape that we fixed up ourselves. Despite my belief that she would one day find someone closer to her age, Miranda assured me She wasn't leaving. Getting Miranda's teeth fixed was tough, but it gave me a chance to be close to her. She'd lie on the couch and I'd hold her. She'd try to get my attention romantically by wearing tight clothes, but I didn't react like the other men she'd known. I wasn't like them, and I think that confused her. Things got messy when local women started showing up, bringing food and trying to win me over. Miranda stayed close to me, throwing away their offerings. She was especially jealous of one woman who caught my eye despite being only 10 years older than her. One evening, while I was in the shower, Miranda kicked out a woman who had invited us to a church social. When I came down, we had our first argument. I told her she was blocking me, but she made it clear I was hers. I wiped her tears and kissed her, and for the first time, it felt real and intimate. But just as things heated up, I sat on the sofa and turned on the TV, leaving her frustrated. I admitted I was scared of ruining what we had, afraid that intimacy might complicate things. She shut me up with a kiss. Later that night, she moved her stuff into my dresser, making it clear she wasn't leaving. We didn't have closeness, but we got comfortable, and she warned me not to bring any more women around. She made it clear I was hers, and that was the start of our life together. The last 3 years have been great, until Kate showed up. So, you're his daughter-in-law, or you used to be, and you're my cousin, or you used to be. None of that matters, Kate. Both of us have put the past behind us. We weren't happy in the past, and we aren't going to start looking back now. We have a bright future ahead of us. So thanks for coming all the way out here, but whatever you're selling, we aren't buying it. Kate, on the other hand, seemed unaware of what had happened over the years, admitting that life had gotten in the way and she had lost touch. She acknowledged the troubled nature of our family in Ohio, but seemed genuinely sorry for not knowing more. Before she could finish, the doorbell rang, and Miranda's tense call for me to come inside made it clear something was wrong. When I walked into the living room, I saw Matt and Maddie standing at the door. Fantastic, I exclaimed. Now they're all here. Kate entered the room behind me. I told you to let me handle this, she replied. I didn't want to leave you alone with him, Matt shot back. What does it matter to you? She retorted. We're not married anymore. And whose fault is that? He shouted. You wanted the divorce? You asked for it. I never wanted it, jerk. I just wanted you to fight for us. I needed to know if I meant enough to you for you to put in some effort to keep me, Kate argued. That's nonsense, Matt replied harshly. You had feelings for my dad. Even when he abandoned my mom, you were on his side. Mom told me he thought you were the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. It's no surprise he left my mother. He found your damn twin and ran off with her. Maddie glared at Miranda in anger but remained silent. Let's go, Matt, she urged. This is all too bizarre, Kate said. Mom, you just walked in and saw Dad for the first or second time in 4 years. You just found out he's living with my cousin, and it feels like I'm more shocked than you are. What's going on? All right, we need to sort all of this out, I interjected. I have a life to get back to, and as long as this mess hangs over me, you all won't leave me in peace. So let's act like adults, go sit on my deck, and talk this through. We all headed back out to my deck. As the sun climbed higher, Miranda and Kate went inside to grab cold drinks for everyone, while I extended the awning over the deck to create some shade and make it more comfortable. Once everyone settled in, Matt and Maddie at one end of the table, Randa and me at the other, and Kate in the middle, we began our conversation. First of all, Matt, I've never done anything to you. Why are you so aggressive toward me? I asked. Because you left Mom without giving her any explanation, and because my wife was always let down by me since I wasn't as successful as you. I'm not some big business genius, so I could never measure up, he replied. Both Kate and I started to chuckle. Come on, Matt, Maddie said. They're not taking us seriously. They're laughing at your feelings. Katie, you go ahead, I suggested. Matt, you're such an idiot, Kate said. You've always been one. If you don't get your act together, you'll stay an idiot forever. Yes, I love your dad. There, I said it. Are you happy now? Matt looked shocked. I love him so much it's off the charts, she added, leaning closer to him. You selfish witch, Miranda spat. I'm going to... Calm down, cousin, Kate smiled. Matt, I love him like a father and he loves me like a daughter. My own dad was an alcoholic who never cared about me or his kids. And yeah, Matt, I wanted you to be more like your dad. But it wasn't about money. It was about your time and attention. Your dad treated your mom like a queen. They were hardly ever apart. She was his whole world. Even after 40 years of marriage, they walked around holding hands. He treated her like she was gold. It's the same way he treats my cousin now. Just look at them. I bet if you check under the table, they're holding hands right now. Miranda raised our hands. If you understood how difficult my cousin's life has been, you'd realize how much love that man has to give. That's what I needed from you. I never cared about being rich or making a lot of money. I just wanted to feel important to you, but it always seemed like everything else took priority. I asked for a divorce to jolt you into fighting for us, but instead you just agreed and gave up. How was I supposed to? Matt started. Even after we divorced, I always hoped you'd want to reconcile, Kate said. We both know we've dealt with our divorce in different ways. I haven't been out with a bunch of women trying to get over you. But no one compares to you, Kate, he replied. I feel so empty all the time. I thought you wanted the divorce because dad left mom, and wow, I've been a fool. I was jealous of my own dad for no reason. Dad, why did you leave mom? Matt asked. And why won't you help Dylan? I really want to know that too, Kate added. You two were so in love, and then you were just gone overnight. She never told you? I asked. I figured she'd let me take the blame. Well, as you both mentioned, I loved your mother like there was no tomorrow. She was my entire world. But that all changed during your last visit to the old house. I went for a run, and something compelled me to go home. When I did, I found your mother cheating on me with two men. It shattered my heart. I had never felt such pain before. I just lost it. The worst part was that one of those men was my best friend, Will. Dad, Uncle Will died soon after you left, Matt exclaimed. Yeah, I beat him up pretty badly, I admitted. You didn't kill him, Ken, Maddie said. Will passed away from complications of congestive heart failure. He had a massive heart attack, but he did one honorable thing. He told the sheriff he crashed his truck. That covered up what you did to his windshield and explained why his ribs were broken. You broke most of his ribs when you jumped on him. He pretended the crash happened to protect Chelsea from finding out he'd cheated on her. Maybe he was also saving himself, because Chelsea would have gone after him hard. Why did you just sneak away without trying to fix things, Dad? Matt asked. I get that you're angry, but why not at least fill Kate and me in on what was happening? Why not talk to Mom and explain it to her? I didn't run off, I snapped. That never happened. I consulted a lawyer. I had divorce papers drawn up. I gave your mother a very generous settlement and even let her stay in the house. It'll go to you when she can't live there anymore, and then to my brother Ben's kids. They exchanged looks. I even had a final conversation with your mother before I left, I added. She told me why she did what she did. She left me with no choice but to go. I don't understand, Kate said. Why the hell would she cheat on you? She must be crazy. She said I was boring in bed, I replied. Miranda erupted in laughter. I never said that, Maddie protested. I only meant we'd done it so many times I knew all your moves. It wasn't my fault. I was just wanted to try anything that came to mind. I didn't realize until you were gone that I had a medical issue. My hormones went wild and turned me into some kind of temporary nympho. But it was still easier for you to cheat on me than to explain what was going on with you, right? I shot back. Just like it was easier for you to let the kids think I ran off instead of telling them the truth. Ken, I love you so much. What was I supposed to do? My life and my marriage were destroyed for nothing. It was just act. After 40 years together, you should have been willing to. I'm cured now. I haven't been with another man in years. I want you to come home. I don't care if you help Dylan or not. I just want my marriage back, Maddie whined. He is home, Grandma, Miranda snapped. You had your chance and you blew it. Get out of my house. He's not going anywhere. Who the hell is Dylan? Dylan is my son, Kate said quietly. He has cancer. The doctors are trying a lot of treatments. They want to attempt radiation therapy, chemotherapy, and nuclear medicine. The cancer is genetic. The only guaranteed cure is a bone marrow transplant from someone in the family who has the right antibodies to fight it. That's tough, Miranda said. What do you want from us? Dad is the one with the antibodies. He saved his brother's life. He can help. Absolutely not, Miranda shot back. He's nearly 70. Who knows what that would do to him? We're having a baby, and I want my child's father to be alive and healthy when she arrives. Kate and Matt looked stunned, while Maddie's expression turned icy. Dad, why won't you help your grandson? Kate demanded. And you, Miranda, he's your nephew. He's family. Screw family, Miranda spat. The only family that matters is Ken and our baby. I get why you feel that way, Miranda, Kate replied. But Dad, besides Mom, what did any of us ever do to you? Katie, I love you, sweetheart, I said. But ever since I saw him again, Matt has been giving me dirty looks because of his jealousy and the lies his mother fed him. He didn't even give me a fair chance. But Matt isn't Dylan, Kate argued. What has my son ever... Katie, I told you there were two guys with your mother-in-law when I caught her. I started. Yeah, but, she interrupted. Suddenly her eyes widened as the truth hit her. She turned on Maddie. You filthy witch! She screamed. You ruined my baby! Katie, Maddie whined. He blackmailed me into it. If I hadn't gone along, he was going to spill the beans to your dad. And believe it or not, I care too much about Ken to let him find out. I was desperate. I had no choice. And Dylan is over 21. He's not a baby to anyone but you. And as for you, Ken, you can forget about marrying this girl. The second you step into a church with her, I'll have you arrested for bigamy. Legally, you did abandon me, Maddie said with a smirk. No, I didn't, I shouted. And you know that. You left me with plenty of money, she said, grinning. And you filed the papers. But in our state, those papers have to be signed and submitted. I never turned them in, and I didn't sign them. When your lawyer called to check on the status, I told him we changed our minds. You really should have left that poor guy some way to contact you before you took off to find a younger version of your daughter-in-law. Things escalated quickly after that. Miranda screamed and lunged at Maddie. I saw her move, but reacted too slowly. Miranda managed to land a punch that nearly knocked Maddie out of her chair. Maddie toppled backward, and Matt jumped up to protect his mother. Kate stepped in front of Miranda, who was yelling for me to let her go. Matt looked up at a furious Kate. Kate, honey, I still love you, he said. And I realize now you were right about everything. I should have listened to you, and my dad didn't do anything wrong, but I can't let that woman hurt my mother, even if Mom is being unreasonable. Matt, I love you too, but this isn't about us. It's not about your mother either. It's about getting Dad to help my baby, and your mom is ruining this for everyone. I don't care if we don't get married, Miranda spat, struggling against me. We've been fine up until now. Our life was perfect until they showed up. Our baby will be raised by two loving parents. I want all of these people out of my house now. You heard her, I said. Kate and Matt helped a dazed Maddie out of my house. I spent the rest of the evening comforting Miranda and reassuring her that everything would be all right. Epilogue. This is usually where everything gets tied up neatly, but life doesn't work that way. When I went back to Michigan to finalize my divorce, I discovered it wouldn't be easy. Despite Maddie's lies about our previous divorce, the process would take over a year, especially with Maddie fighting it. She signed an affidavit claiming we had a family gathering recently, which complicated things. I also visited Dylan, but he was the same spoiled, selfish person he'd always been, sitting in a filthy apartment paid for by Kate. He assumed I was there to give him bone marrow, showing no remorse for his role in destroying my marriage. I couldn't bring myself to help him. Kate and Matt, who had reconciled, tried to convince me to save Dylan, but I couldn't do it. When I looked at Dylan, I saw the betrayal that had nearly ruined my life, and he had never even apologized. Though Kate and Matt were upset, they couldn't force me to help. Dylan's health deteriorated from his treatments, but it wasn't cancer that killed him. He passed away from a virus on the same day my daughter Danica was born, his immune system too weakened to fight it off. We attended his funeral mostly for Kate. Miranda stayed by my side the entire time, preventing Maddie from trying to speak to me. The funeral was sparsely attended. Dylan hadn't made many friends. Despite everything, I felt sad, but only for the little boy Dylan once was, not the man he never became. It became clear that, aside from Miranda, who was firmly against it, and Maddie, who didn't seem to care, everyone else seemed to believe I could have prevented Dylan's death. I didn't bother reminding them that my brother, who took great care of himself, had also eventually passed. Dylan had continued smoking and drinking heavily in the weeks before his death. His funeral was the last time we were all together. Kate fell into a deep depression and cut off contact with everyone, including Matt, after realizing during their short reconciliation that he hadn't changed. With Maddie refusing to allow the divorce to move forward, I talked to Miranda, reassuring her that the legal status didn't matter. Wearing my ring made us married in my eyes. Then I focused on Maddie, pleading with her to let the divorce proceed. She refused and even made inappropriate offers in front of Miranda and our lawyers, which only served to infuriate me further. I had no choice but to drop the divorce, which allowed me to avoid the terms of our settlement. Maddie hadn't worked during our marriage, so all the money she had was mine. I still had access to the accounts, so I withdrew everything, leaving her penniless. After removing her from my retirement account, she received one last check. Though it seemed harsh, I enjoyed the power it gave me. Maddie showed up at my house causing a scene, so I had her arrested. I took another step, one that felt even more drastic. I sold the house that had been in my family for generations, leaving her homeless. It was time to stop looking back and start focusing on my future with Miranda and our daughter, Danica. Now, 5 years later, I sit on my porch watching Danica, who's 5, doing laps around the driveway in her modified Power Wheels Mustang. She's already hosting little races every Sunday and hasn't lost yet, not even to the boys. I'm sure Miranda will object, but I think Danica's ready for a go-kart. She's inherited her mother's looks and my competitive streak. Those NASCAR boys will have some competition in about 14 years, and I hope I'll still be around to witness it.